Great. Hi, welcome everyone to the launch of Garland number 41, Begin Again. And I'm speaking to you from Naarm, Melbourne, the land of the Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. And I'm also very pleased that we can dedicate this issue to the memory of Rex Greeno, uh, a very important Palo elder and boat maker, and somebody who's passed on his heritage, particularly to his son, Dean Greeno, who is with us now, who has also contributed to a issue of Garland uh, this year. So, Dean, would you like to say something about your dad and what his legacy is?
Uh, Thank you, Kevin. Bit hard to sum up in words, really. I've just been privileged to have been taught by Dad for many years, not just as a father, but as a boat maker, a mentor, a man who didn't say a lot, but everything was poignant and summed up. And um, he, the way Pakenham and Palawa people work, he being the grandfather of my children, he taught my son his the canoe skills, and I was taught by dad to start with, but my grandfather also taught me shipwriting skills. So dad's legacy will live long and through my own children and my grandchildren. And yeah, that's pretty much a very quick summary.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dean, and we look forward to sharing that story in more depth next year. Don't we? Thank you so much for being part of this. And so just to look at the overview, Garland's been going now for 10 years. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary on Sunday. And the first journey was very much about learning who we are. So having issues in different parts of the world. And from that, the second journey was about learning what we have in common, what we can share. And this is a very brief overview of the various articles as they are distributed across the world map. So we were looking particularly at things like the experiences we share, particularly the non-visual experiences, the spaces where that we share in common, such as the nature, the table, the temple, and so on. And this year's been looking at the stories we share in common, particularly that we keep alive in our works, such as the water spirits, stories of ancestors, stories of spirits, and this stories that are about creation and rebirth, which is the subject of this particular issue. And I would like to invite Kamya Sharma, the guest editor for this issue, to share with us some thoughts about the nature of cyclical time, which I think is one of the important concepts that is attached to this issue. Kamya.
Thank you, Kevin. Hello, everyone. This is Kamya. I'm joining you from Mysore, which is in South India. When Kevin invited me to be part of this issue, one of the first things I thought about was the nature of time that I'd been exposed to as a child. As a child growing up in India, I was given the notion that time and life itself are cyclical. For my Indian counterparts who are in this call, you might also recall growing up with the Amar Chitra Katha, which is an Indian comic book series that told many mythological tales for children. I was exposed to tales like the churning of the ocean, the idea of the pralaya or a great cosmic inundation that wipes out all life, with all of these tales growing up. One could say I also found this very comforting because it seemed like no matter how bad things got, there were always ways to wipe the slate clean. You got a do-over. Later, as a writer, translator, craft researcher, and budding maker, I realized this has fresh meaning for the way we view creation itself. the idea of a single origin point that is very much the defining view in Western metaphysics has had many views for many consequences for how we view creation and creativity. So, how might we interrogate or challenge that view by bringing in alternative mythologies of creation? That's one of the things we've tried to explore in this issue. What if we didn't have to view time or creation this way? And this has been the opening for a dialogue around creation and rebirth and time and craft with this particular issue of Garland. Thank you,
Thank you so
Kevin.
much, Kamya. And this is a good opportunity, given the fact that your article is the first to also speak to the story of Diptej Venica, if I say it correctly.
Yes. For this issue, I had the opportunity to interact with Goa-based artist Deeptej Vernikar. Deeptej works with the Festival of Naraka. He explores the changing idioms of the Festival of Naraka Chaturdashi in Goa. This is this occurs around the time that Diwali is celebrated in all over India. And what happens in Goa is that there are these giant effigies of Narakasura, who is presented as a demonic figure in mythology. And Diwali is essentially the celebration of the slaying of Narakasura by Krishna. But what happens in Goa is interesting because these massive effigies, these giant mechanistic creations, are put together by groups of people. There is tremendous artistry and work and craft involved. And in the process, Narakasura shifts from being a sort of demonic figure to someone who invites intimacy and play. So Deeptej's work explores this in greater detail, and we have a really lovely conversation which has been documented in this issue in Garland. I would really invite all of you to take a look.
Here we go, just some final images there. Thank you so much, Kamya. And it's also a testament to our partnership with Serendipity Arts Festival, which is
Yes.
happening right now, which we have a couple of articles for. And so it's great to reference this very important artist of the street in India. Thank you so much, Kamya.
Thank you.
And now I'd like to welcome Greg Pryor, who can tell us about the story of Wonga. Greg, would you like to tell us about this story?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin, and thanks, everyone. It's a real privilege to be in such wonderful company online now and in the issue. So thank you, Kevin. I'm zooming in from Boorloo in Western Australia on the land of the Wandjak Noongar people and pay my respects to their elders past and present. And it's a particularly appropriate. It's an amazing place to work here. And this story in Garland is actually I've been here for 22 years, and it's been one of the most meaningful collaborative works I've been lucky to do with a colleague at Edith Cowan University here, Jennifer Moyle Ogbidiyama. And basically, it was a collaborative work. Jennifer lives in Bustleton, about 2 hours north of Boorloo. So we met online twice a week to share a story and an image on basically an A5, a small square, a small panel of canvas, which we hand wrote our story. And you can see there in the images, and that image is of the completed work of basically 100 stories in image and text each. And basically, the starting point was pretty intuitive. You can see there my first panel, which was a reference to a marri tree, a tree native here to Wajak Buja. And so Kevin just mentioned serendipity before. So Jennifer that week had also had a meaningful encounter with a marri tree. So we basically took our cues from this rather intuitive sort of starting point, but the aim really was to explore our different positions in relation to colonial presence in Western Australia. Jennifer's background is Wardandi, Noongar, and Koreng on her father's side, and Cornish on her mother's side. And it was really, as I said, a really meaningful experience. But talking about cyclical time and ancestors, I'll finish up by saying one of the most, it was almost a confirmation of how meaningful it was right towards the end. We got talking about Jennifer's Cornish ancestors, and my ancestors originated from Cornwall too. And I dug into the genealogical records, and we found out that we were related. Going back to the late 18th century, a Moyle married a Prior. So somehow a lot of cycles have taken place that have led us to make this collaborative work together.
Oh, that's a beautiful rounding of the story. Thank you so much, Greg. It's great to hear that. Now we go to Kyoko Imatsu
Hi.
for the story of the Darabochi.
Yeah, Daidarabochi. So um, I wrote about a project where I made a shadow puppetry show for Campbelltown Arts Centre in Sydney. The brief was very open. Um, I could do whatever story I wanted to do. But I wanted to make a connection of Campbelltown's sister city in Japan. And I started researching, I guess, different mythologies and different stories, different, I guess, more fairy tale type stories, because that kind of stories work well with shadow puppets theater kind of style. And I thought, you know, I would bring in the supernatural, Japanese supernatural monster aspect into this shadow story. It's also because it's been my passion to explore this world of we call them yokai. It includes, not just monsters, but also like a semi gods. Um, things like old musical instruments turning into some sort of a living creatures and little things like that. Can be animals. But I chose this yokai called Daidarabochi. It's a creator of the landscape of Japan, or in the mythology. And so he created Mount Fuji, this Lake Biwa in Japan. And I wanted to use this as a main character. I always and I always wanted to focus on the Japanese poetry that I grew up with. So I used a poem called Wonder to focus on the tiny things in natural world that we often overlook. And this big giant creator start to find little things that not many people focus on. And then I guess, I don't want to tell the whole story. It would be nice if you can watch the video of the whole shadow puppet show. But I guess through this process of writing for Garland, it was a great reflection of, I guess, my passion and what I wanted to do more for my practice in the future, which is the shadow puppetry. So I guess, yeah, it would be nice for you to not just read, but have a look at the video.
Yes, and hopefully we can organize some performances next year. But anyway, thank you for providing
Thank you.
a lens of Japanese culture, which has been so important in the journey of Garland, particularly through the concept of Ikiteru Kogai, living craft, and attention to the detail of nature. Thank you so much, Kyoko. And now we go to Kartika in Moscow. There you are. Who's just had another exhibition, quite a prolific one, in Moscow as well. But this story was a very special one to do with a series of covers of magazines. But anyway, I'll let you uh, talk to that, please. Welcome. You're on mute. We can't hear, I'm afraid. No, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. Just see if you can fix that. Well, see how you go, Kartika.
Maybe.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
Yes,
now you hear me.
indeed. Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so stupid in these things.
Mhm.
So, I'm very happy to be here, Kevin. I am so happy to see you. Hi, everyone. Yes, I am Katika. I'm from Moscow. It's snow day today, snow morning. So, for first, I want to apologize for my English skills because my last conversation in English was with Kevin in autumn. So, but I'll try to do my best um, to describe my I don't know project or maybe something more, maybe future exhibition. So for second, I'm crochet artist. I it's my practice, artistic practice. So I will start expect the crochet 11 years ago maybe. And for me, it's not just a hobby or something like this. It's my profession. So I have exhibitions. I do something project with gallery, museums, this vibe. But if we look this project about non-existent covers, it start more early when I was 5 and I still lived in Moscow. My parents go to work very early and I stayed with my neighborhoods. And I remember my first time when I see the cartoons, Japanese cartoons, Candy Candy. And it was my first meeting with Japanese culture, something like this. And through all my life, Japan is very important conception for me. I never visit Japan, but I had some exhibition in Tokyo. So, and for me, it's like kind of aesthetic of Japanese hieroglyphs and covers. I was very exciting about this. And about half of year, I was starting to do not just non-existent covers, but covers was generated by AI. I know how not really easy topic for everyone in the world. AI is something, a lot of people hate it, especially artists, because it's kind of mm, how to say. Uh, I forgot. I forgot the word. uh,
Exploitative?
um, when you do something, you don't want to someone
To copy, to plagiarize.
copywriting, about copywriting, yeah. Sorry. Copywriting, yes. A reason why artists don't like the AI. But for me, AI, it's kind of connection with all world, all people around the world. I absolutely like how AI work. I like to speak with ChatGPT or with Midjourney. We have the kind of Russian Midjourney, it's Kandinsky. So, and I was start to experiment with it, with conception of AI aesthetic of Japan and, to be honest, in all Asian aesthetic of lettering. And my passion with crochet. So I can show just last night I finished new work. It's very, very, very small pieces like this, and I do very large and small. So I don't know what to say more. Maybe you have a question.
Well, and thank
For
you so
me,
much for crocheting the cover of this issue as well.
yes, yes, it was so honestly for me. I'm so happy. It's my first existent cover.
Real cover, yes, it's a nice
Yeah.
irony. So Ishan's asking which works were generated by AI. They were all generated by AI initially. That's right, isn't it?
No, to be honest, I generation a lot of variants of one cover. I picked some of them and mixed on my iPad in Procreate. So then I tried to put something interesting. I do my own composition, but the center of this is AI generation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's you take something that happens very quickly and turn it
Yeah.
into something very slow with crochet.
Yes,
And I'd just like to thank you also for being a kind of a witness to what's happening underground in Moscow at the moment. You know, we
oh.
understand that Russian culture has these different dimensions and that there is often things happening that we're not aware of. So we're very pleased that you can be a witness to that, that we take that very seriously. So, спасибо большое, Katika.
Спасибо большое.
Okay, and now we go on to Jane Burns, thinking about software, at least when it comes to weaving. Welcome, Jane. Would you like to speak to your article?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm really thrilled to be part of this global community, and I've only just dipped my toes into reading some of the articles, so I look forward to learning about your work. I had the opportunity to write about a recent trip that I did to Norway to attend the first digital weaving conference put on by Digital Weaving Norway. This is an image here of the original designer of this. It's a hand loom, but it interfaces with computer coding. So as a maker, you get to assign a pixel per thread. And this is some work of mine, which is a series about environmental activists being arrested in the body of works called Movement in Bracket Arrest. So it's both the speaks to the movement, the choreography, the sort of poetic violence of people being lifted and thrown around, but also the moment of arrest. They're quite large works, about 2,000 plus individual threads that I've built up, hand weaving to create the height of 1.55. This is more recent work, and this work has a bit of a future ahead of it because it's really just the beginning of the body of work. It speaks to the need for love and coming together at this time when divisiveness and politics and hate and racism is really wanting to divide people. I think both bodies of work really speak about the transformation we're in as a species. The first about the power of citizen uprising, and the second body of work about both the locking on, coming together in protest, but also being stronger, connected in community. So yeah, I got to write about the technology in the article and the experience of going to Norway and seeing an exhibition of 30 plus researchers, designers, artists, architects working with this technology. And I am thrilled to be working with it. I really want to set up Australia's first digital weaving lab at some point late next year, because this technology is not available to work on in Australia. There's only 3 in the country, and none of them are available as an artist or anyone to actually book. So yeah, I'll leave it there, but thank you. I look forward to hearing the rest of the stories.
Thanks so much, Jane, and we certainly look forward to following the progress of your TC2 loom, which will hopefully emerge next year. Thank you so much. Now we go to Pim in Bangkok. Greetings, Pim.
Hello, everybody. Greeting from Bangkok. My name is Pim Surikam, and I'm a ceramic artist living in Bangkok. I also teach at the university in a design department. And in this issue, I talk about a project I did in 2024 as part of a Bangkok Art Biennale. And the theme of the Biennale is called Nurture Gaia, and it kind of explored the connectedness of people to the land. And so I was thinking of a maker who do things with material very close to where they are in their surrounding. But because I am living in the urban setting in Bangkok, so I cannot really find clay just as like where pottery exists. So I look around and try to find clay from construction site where they dig with it deep enough to reach down to ground level where there used to be paddy field, like in Bangkok, because it's in the delta. And I was lucky because there are so many underground construction for a train going on at that moment, so I could get access to clay. And this is me exploring the archaeological pieces from Ban Kao site west of Thailand. It's a Neolithic period pottery, and they are very, very beautiful.
Sorry.
The tripod vessels. So I mean, as a design point of view, I think they're so beautiful in proportion and design. So I kind of replicate the shapes in order to make conversation. So I call the project a conversation with a potter. And at the end of the whole long process, I started to develop a new series of work that reflects, maybe not in the form, but well, you have to read my article. But then I started to use the local clay and fire them to the collapsing point of the work and create a new work out of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pim, for sharing your work. And also thank you to Cheongju Craft Biennale, who had the wonderful Thai Pavilion, which featured some of your amazing work, introduced it to Garland magazine. So thank you for that important story. And now we go to Liliana. Are you there in Tokyo?
Yes, thank you, Kevin. Hello, everyone. I'm Liliana. I'm based in Tokyo, where I've been for the past 10 years, doing research on craft, alternative lifestyles, and in rural areas, and people on the move. And one of the people I met through my research is Shirobe Kobayashi, a potter, but also a farmer, a carpenter, a cook, based in Mashko. And Shirobe is a self-taught potter and wood fire, and he epitomizes this kind of peasant crafts person who does all different types of trades. He's also countercultural practitioner, so he traveled the world before deciding to settle in the town of Mashko and dedicate himself to pottery together with his wife, who is an organic farmer. And so it talks about his process, his ceramics making process, particularly in the primitive Anagama kiln, his process of dealing with materials, with clay, with the fire, with the wood, And so, yeah, it kind of talks about this lifestyle that is embedded in this life, this search for alternatives in a rural Japan that it's facing a lot of struggles, and shows different possibilities beyond the image of Japan that we have of very traditional craftspeople, of a long lineage of craftspersons. But rather than craft, there's also possibilities of craft that are more open and more experimental. And this is the ethos that Shirobe kind of shares. So I invite you to take a look. It's a short article, but yeah, would be lovely if you could take a look. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Liliana, are they didgeridoos? Do you remember from the gallery?
Yes, I
Right.
think so. I don't think Shirobe has been to Australia, actually. I think there is a wood firing festival in Australia, or there was a conference festival in Australia a few years ago. I don't remember where exactly, but it's been there. So maybe yeah, he acquired them there. So he is a self defined kind of hippie. He backpacked throughout the world before becoming a potter, so it's a very interesting character. So if maybe you're in Mashko during the pottery fair, you can also meet him in person.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Liliana, for this story, but also for all the other stories that you've shared in Garland as a perennial of the magazine, particularly with an eye for what's happening off the beaten track in communities and an understanding of the human dimension of the story. So
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
thank you. And now we go to Anne Marie. Are you there with us, Anne Marie? Would you like to tell us about your story from Sweden?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Yes, good. So I'm a ceramic artist living in Sweden, and I'm very happy to be part of this community for the time of this magazine. I've been looking at this magazine for a long time and reading those stories, so I'm happy. And I'm a ceramic artist, and my practice focus on glazing for some years. And recently, while working on a rose color that is made out of tin oxide and chrome, so this is a particular transformation in the kiln because the chrome that is quite green with the tin oxide become rose. So there is a very strong transformative action in the kiln. I started to have a very strong dreams in the night. And it was a very, very, very strong embodied experience of transformation and movement. And it opened up for me the possibility to be collaborating with my glazes. Because until there, I'm teaching ceramic as well. And for me, glaze is the outer layer of the ceramics that made it very strong and easily to use as a tableware. And so it opened up this possibility, and I needed, in this text, it was the spring, and I was gardening at the same time that this dream came up. So it was a lot of life going on. And with my garden, it's way more easily for me to consider that I'm collaborating with the plants to make them grow. And as I was starting to garden, as you see in the picture in my living room, I was like observing this life, both in my minerals, in my ceramics. At the same time, that was my zucchini were starting to grow in my living room, preparing for the spring coming. So writing this text was for me a way to weave together gardening and glazing, and opening up the door for more collaboration with my glazes, and for any glaze maker, I guess. Hopefully.
Thank you so much, Anne Marie. It's really a great example of taking the reader on a journey in terms of an understanding of how your work is inspired by both what's happening in your immediate world, but also in your dreams as well. I think it's a very powerful story. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And now we go to Balaji. You're with us from Adelaide.
Yes, hi everyone. It's been an absolute joy to listen to everyone's stories, and I'm really keen to delve deeper. I've had a read of a few of the stories, and I can't wait to kind of get deeper into all of them, really. And yeah, thank you for allowing me to join. So I'm Balaji Teniola, and I'm practicing currently in Tantania on Kaurna country, aka Adelaide, South Australia. And for my contribution to storylines, I had the privilege of also incorporating the words of some other collaborators, Daphne Mohaja Vapursaran, Sanjay Guthinji, and Melbourne Josie, as well as my own work. So the piece that we see on the screen at the moment is titled Sentinel. All the works in this story are somewhat introspective as they look beyond just the aesthetic and the function of the piece and focus on, I guess, the origins of the concept itself. So with each of the works that are within this story, we look to examine and, in a way, analyze, I guess, the idea of creation behind them. So as if you get the chance to read through, you'll not just learn more about each of the collaborators, but the thinking and the process and the making behind each of the works themselves. And how they all came to be was from my, I guess, first curatorial venture, putting together an exhibition titled Reflections of Home, with the provocation being to respond to what the idea of home means to each individual. And these are just 4 of the 20 contributors to that exhibition as well. Sorry, just gathering my thoughts. And so with my piece specifically, which you saw first on the screen, that in a way was my attempt at reconnecting with the craft culture of my Nigerian heritage, and I wanted to use that as a springboard to delve deeper into not just the variations in the tribes, but then the variations in the crafts that are produced from each tribe of Nigeria, which there are many as well. And I guess, ideation behind creating not just that piece, but that exhibition was from this strong feeling that I had visiting the British Museum many years ago. And my first time there, every time I travel, I enjoy kind of visiting various museums and exhibitions and, just getting involved deeper into, craft culture. But I wasn't prepared for the feelings that kind of bubbled up. Seeing for the first time the bronze sculptures and plaques that, have been looted from Nigeria, and seeing them for the first time in this kind of colonial institution was quite jarring. And then from there, through various discussions with others here in Australia and learning about, the I guess implications of colonization across various cultures, bringing those feelings, thoughts, and ideas together to develop something that we could showcase through objects, and then from that tell our story through those objects as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Balaji, for your own and other stories that you channel. And it's certainly a reflection of the learning we had in a recent Garland symposium on the storied object, the role of the object for those who've had journeys of displacement, for providing some connection back to a land that's been lost. Thank you so much. And now we go to Wanda Gillespie, who's also joined by Albert, the subject of her talk. Wanda, are you there?
Yes, sorry, I just had to move because one of my children started cooking and it's really noisy.
Right. I'll just join. Albert can join us as well.
Yay!
Greetings, Albert.
Hi, Albert. Oh, it's really nice to see your face. Yeah, this was a really wonderful opportunity to look more closely at Albert's work. I first met Albert on an artist residency in Bandung, Indonesia, and he's got a practice of making slip cast ceramic objects, and often putting them into these complex patterns of sometimes mandalas or referencing patterns from Islamic architecture. And yeah, there's a lot of kind of spiritual motifs that get played with in his work in interesting ways. I'm wondering if you want to jump in and say anything, Albert.
No, I think I'm fine. I think you should just continue.
Yeah, and I think that theme of the cycle of creation and time as being cyclical is something that comes up a lot in Albert's work. He's got a very process-driven practice, and there's a lot of repetition within the display of the objects, but the process of making, like repeating these slip cast ceramics, and sometimes he's making, I think they said like 8 to 10 of one molds of one form for a large installation. Yeah. And there's a performative aspect, not just, I think Albert has the performative aspect in the making of the work, but also in the installation of the work. And then sometimes he'll also smash or dissolve unfired ceramic pieces. And so there's this, this constant kind of cycle of creation and recreation and, process happening in his work. And this new work that he's made recently is quite interesting, where he's started working with sugar. So a completely different material, but again, working with molds. He was based in a gallery that was an old Japanese sweet making factory, and so they had molds that they made the Japanese sweets from, but then he sort of continued with that theme, and rather than using clay, started using sugar for new sculptural forms. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Wanda, and thank you for being such a terrific guiding light through the journey of storylines as well to this year. And Albert, thank you for allowing us to feature your amazing work, which resonates so well with what Kamya was telling us at the start.
Thank you. It's an honor to be part of this edition.
Yes, and keep us in touch with what's happening in the future. Thank you. All right. Now we go to let me see, Aditya, if I say your name correctly, I hope I have.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Hi.
Aditya or Aditya?
Aditya. Yeah,
Okay.
so the first A is
Welcome.
long.
Yes. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Let's go to your article.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's a great pleasure and honor to be part of this. I'm just really thrilled to be connected with all of you and with Garland, whose work I find so inspirational. Just that something like this exists, and today to get to meet all of you in some way. So yes, so for my article, I took the opportunity to meet with and speak to someone that I've known a little bit from a long time ago, Sandilia, or Sandy, as he's usually called, who makes the work that you see here, which is basically stuff that is collected from dead trees, typically on his walks around. So he's had a kind of dual life. One is that he grew up in a forest in the Western Ghats of India, and he now lives on the outskirts of Bangalore, which is a big city. But he's found a sort of corner where there's still a bit of wilderness there. So I've been sort of following his journey and looking at his work over the last few years. And it's just been very moving to see that. And it's one of those things where also, as someone who does some making myself, it's one of those situations where you see someone's work and you kind of feel like, I wish I was making that. So there was that sense. And then because I also have a kind of very close feeling and for natural materials, and I've worked with it a bit in the past. So I think I just wanted to spend some time with him. The last time I really spent time with him was 20 years ago. So I took this opportunity to reconnect, and I went and spent a day with him and got about 6 hours of audio just from, I mean, I didn't want to do a formal interview. I really just wanted to spend time with him and speak to him. And to try and understand what is going on behind what he makes, what his relationship with the material is. I had some sense of where he comes from, but to sort of bring it out to the world. And yeah, then I think it was a bit of a challenge for me to pick and choose from all of that, from our kind of long winding conversations of the day, as well as the things that the work makes me feel, and how to kind of put things together. And I think my article already goes over sort of Garland's recommended word limit. But
It's
even
well
then, I
worth it,
felt like,
Alicia. Don't worry about that.
I'm glad to
And
hear that.
thank you. It's a very generous article that you've spent all that time with Sandy and shared such a remarkable practice that, like many in Garland, is off the grid. You know, it's not something that is in the spotlight. So it helps us discover something new and precious and recognize an important practice. Thank you so much.
I'm glad. Thank you.
And now we go to Zari. I don't think Meredith is with us. Zari, is she? But
No, I don't think so. Just me.
you're here, so you are the one who made the work. So certainly, it's great to have you here, and we can have a look at some of the images of the exhibition at Alta Forma, the gallery, while you tell us about the project.
Yeah. Well, the project really grew out of time that I spent working in Palestine. At the time, I was researching crafts economies, in particular, thinking about the export of religious art. So one of the fields that I started to become very interested in was the history of Palestinian mother of pearl, which was a massive transnational industry. And a few months later, Meredith actually invited me to do an exhibition based on it. But what I sort of, the main starting point for the exhibition really was the cushions that are on the screen right now. So I was thinking a lot about the souvenir cushions that were produced in the 1940s for Australian troops who were stationed in Palestine during the Second World War. And you may notice that the flags have some rather wonky and askew Southern crosses. So I'm sort of really thinking about these as a motif that links Australia to Palestine, and both in terms of connection and disjunctures, particularly given the potency of the Southern Cross as a symbol. So I took these three motifs from these three cushions and started reworking them with mother of pearl. The original intention was to work with some of the mother of pearl artisans in Bethlehem, and to contextualize that industry. It was a truly transnational industry by the late 19th century, where people were taking part in world trade fairs and having Palestine pavilions. So alongside that sat these amazing crucifixes that I had found mostly in Greece, but also in other parts of the world, which were all made in Palestine by these artisans. I started really, one of the things that I was interested in exploring was really thinking about this sort of like what does modernity look like in Palestine, And I don't think it is necessarily slick and gridded in the way we would think of modernist arts practice. But this became a way of sort of trying to embed the kind of the modern social forces that sit around craft in that region.
Thank you so much, Sari, and we've had a long interest in Bethlehem and the Christian crafts that are involved there, particularly with the strong tourist trade, which unfortunately, of course, has been curtailed with the conflict in Israel at the moment. So it's important that you provide a witness to that. Thank you so much, Sari.
Thank you.
Now we go to Emma, who's not with us, but she's left us a video. So let's hear from her. I just hope this works. Okay.
My name's Emma Seeslick. I am a white woman in my late 20s with long brown hair currently pulled into a ponytail. I am wearing thin wire-rimmed glasses along with a dark green long-sleeve shirt, and I'm currently sitting in front of a dark cream wall covered in memes and specific individual freelance artworks. I am currently living in Washington, D.C., and I'm so thrilled to be joining you in this pre-recorded overview of my article titled Sarah Abu Sharar, Cultural Resistance Through Traditional Palestinian Storytelling, that is part of issue 41 of Garland, titled Begin Again. I am a public historian and writer who explores the intersections of gender and sexuality, sacred and spiritual tradition, and material culture. During the devastation of Palestine, I have been researching how Palestinian storytelling has been a method of cultural resistance and liberation. Today, I bring you a story of a storyteller, an exploration of the work of Sarah Abu Sharar, a Palestinian and Croatian storyteller based in Toronto, Canada. Often wearing colorfully embroidered dresses and weaving Palestinian fairy tales with her voice, Abu Sharar has witnessed the power of storytelling firsthand. In this piece, you will learn about her discovery that she descends from a long line of women storytellers, read her telling of the classic Kali Wadimna story, The Rabbits and the Elephants, and learn how, despite losing gigs due to anti-Palestinian hate, Abu Sharar has found a new home for her stories at protests for Palestinian liberation. As of November 2025, Abu Sharar has told stories for over 13 years. And recognizes her privilege as a storyteller in diaspora who holds a Canadian passport. Unlike other storytellers, she is able to travel almost anywhere in the world, almost entirely without a visa, and for places where she does require a visa, it's an easier process. Storytellers in Palestine have to get visas to travel to almost any country, and most of the time they are denied. Quote, so when I'm invited outside of Toronto for festivals and outside of Canada for festivals, I realize that I need to tell Palestinian stories, unquote, because there aren't many Palestinian storytellers in diaspora, she said. She is one of the few with a platform and space to counter dehumanizing Palestinian narratives. Her storytelling rebuffs media narratives about Palestine that are often racist and Islamophobic, and enforce the dichotomy of non-human beings, or as victims and survivors who are superhuman. Quote, we have to resist to exist, unquote, she explained. But there is so much more to Palestine than politics, occupation, and violence. And by telling stories, she helps herself and others to preserve Palestinian heritage and imagine a better Palestine, or Palestine existing as a state, as a people who are connected to their ancestral land. Retelling Palestinian folk and fairy tales, she believes, is an act of cultural reconciliation. Abu Sharar reflected on her show Stories My Grandmother Told, featuring folk tales from Palestine framed within the story of the Nakba, and her grandmothers who were also storytellers. Quote, "The fairy tales I chose were the most vibrant, the most fun, the most colorful fairy tales that I tell that are Palestinian. I purposely chose those because I knew that if I show the extreme beauty and the fun of this culture, they will see the loss of that being deprived. And so because I started off with this real sadness and then went into this amazing, magical world, when I brought them back down to the end of the frame and back to the occupation and back into a land that I cannot touch, half of the audience was in tears because they saw that beauty lost." Unquote. This is why it's so important to beautify resistance, she explains, not by making it pleasing to look at or non-confrontational, but to showcase the rich culture of Palestine through the clothes, food, songs, and stories that occupation and oppression destroy and erase. Her activism is central to Palestinian resistance and survival through stories of magic, wonder, and beauty. Thank you so much for the opportunity to contribute to Garland with this specific article and the chance to contribute to this opening event for the new issue. If you have any questions or would like to learn more about this work, please connect with me on social media as well as through my website. I would love to continue the conversation, and please do follow Sarah Abu Sharar and learn more about her amazing storytelling practice. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'm sorry about the low volume, but thank you for your patience. Emma has certainly been a wonderful contributor of quite innovative practices, the last one being of NFTs associated with a saint in Colombia. So we're very, very grateful for her contribution. Now, lastly, we come to Nia. Greetings. Would you like to tell us about your very interesting story, again, from India, which is a source of so much interesting material in this issue?
Thanks. Can I also ask you to give me a bit of a heads up when I'm close to 3 minutes, because
Sure.
I'm not
Off
very
you go.
good at touching these things. But yeah, I'm Nia Dandapani, and I'm a design historian and a book designer and a bookmaker based in Bangalore. And I'm originally from the north of the UK, and I've been working here in India for about the last 15, 16 years. And the article that I wrote sort of originates from a project that I've been working on for about 5 years with two collaborators, Gregor Whitrick and Petra Seitz, which looks at the furniture from the city of Chandigarh in North India. And Chandigarh is, famously this sort of modernist city planned by Le Corbusier and kind of built in this sort of modernist tradition. But more recently, the furniture of Chandigarh has been extracted, taken out of Chandigarh, sold for incredibly high prices on the fine art market. And so our project sort of looks at that, critiques it, talks about the narrative that's been built around the furniture and why that narrative has been built, and the whitewashing of the sort of larger history of the furniture. And yeah, so I've been working on that for a number of years, but this project, and it was such a nice opportunity to kind of spend some time reflecting on something else that's come out of this project that has been on my mind the last few times that I've been up to Chandigarh, and that is the contrast that is the rock garden. So the rock garden is this kind of city within a city within Chandigarh that was built initially by a single man, Nek Chand, and was sort of discovered. It was this kind of secret garden that he had built from waste materials from the city. He was a road inspector when the city was being built. And so he had kind of access to these places, and he'd found a secluded spot and built this place. And it was discovered, and it was protected, and it was expanded, and there's a series of kind of phases and artisans that worked on this. And I'm not the first by any means to say that there's a sort of contrast between the rock garden and the city that it sits within. But what I was really interested in, and what's kind of been on my mind, is that the narrative of the Chandigarh furniture and why this furniture could be extracted is often built around this idea that Chandigarh citizens didn't care about this furniture. They didn't like it. They had sort of abandoned it. And the Wall Street Journal article, that the title of my article in Garland is kind of taking from, was titled "The City That Sat on Its Treasures and Didn't See Them." So there's this idea that Chandigarh doesn't care about its supposedly very important modernist heritage. And in contrast to this, the rock garden was just always full. Whenever I went there, it was full of local tourists, and it was loved, and it was this place of kind of just abandon and love, and there was a kind of rich mix of people, local tourists, people from Chandigarh. And so there was something about this that to me stood in contrast to this idea that Chandigarh didn't care about this furniture, and seemed to tell a really powerful story about who gets to decide what is valuable in a city, but also why might you not feel comfortable in these spaces that these pieces of modernist furniture come from, which are largely municipal government buildings. They have guards. They're places of kind of work, but they're also places of what's the word I'm looking for? Exclusion. Whereas the rock garden is this place of fun. And I thought that there's something really powerful there, and a kind of counter narrative to Chandigarh not caring and protecting its furniture when some of the images in the article show residents in Chandigarh on multiple protests protesting against government destruction of the rock garden. So sorry, I think that must be over 3 minutes.
Yes, no, that's perfectly on time. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nia. And it's a really important story to share, because I'm sure that a lot of people outside of India aren't familiar with it. And it shows, again, an interest in what's happening behind the scenes in the world. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your stories and having a compelling contribution to the theme of creation and recreation, and seeing how through making it's possible to recover something of the past and to give it new life, both in terms of reviving, having that connection, but also bringing something new into the world, making it new again. So thank you so much for that. So just please stay with us for a